Well, hello, friends. How are you? It's Joni here at Joni's Journals. How is everyone doing? I know it's been a while. I had a very busy week last week. It seems that it was just family week. My husband, a couple of his jobs got canceled because of the downpours of rain that we've had here. One job in particular, the driveway, well, what was to be the driveway was underwater and no one could get their trucks in and out. So he was home. My daughter only worked one day last week. So we had a family week. I'm not sure if any of you are big Tim Holtz fans or do a lot of shopping at Simon Says Stamp, but last week, I believe it could possibly have been the week before, they made an announcement that Tim Holtz was going to be doing a free class on the Simon Says Stamp YouTube channel on July 11th. And it would be a Christmas themed make, and he would be teaching people how to make stuff. So since I have a lot of Tim Holtz stuff, there was a kit you could purchase. And I said, I'm not going to purchase the kit because I have 99% of that. The one thing I was missing, however, was plain number 8 tags. So I went over to Amazon and I purchased some number 8 tags, which Tim's going to be using in that video. And he also was going to be making something with the tag and also a matching envelope. So it took 2 times for me to get the correct size envelope, but I was able to find an envelope. So along with all of the ephemera I already have and things like that, I figured I'm set. I don't need anything else. We'll see. But I had these manila tags, and I think I got a package of 100 of them. And I said, well, that's a really cool idea. Why don't I make some Christmas cards from these tags? So at the same time, I was playing with a bunch of my new All and Create stamps that I had purchased. And you've seen the Rolodex cards before. I did do a video on it. And so I took my dies out. I started making some Rolodex cards and my new stamps and things and some of their other stuff. And I began to make my little All and Create makes, and I was having a blast doing that. And it was in the meanwhile of getting all of this done that I received my tags. So I said, Christmas themed. And I began to play with my All and Creates and a couple of Christmas stamp sets that I got last year from scrapbook.com. And I started making little Christmas tags that I would use in lieu of making Christmas cards. So you can see I have plenty of space on the back to write a little personal message. They do have strings, mine are missing. And I began to color them. And I figure that they will go out to my family and friends as a little bit of a Christmas card, because I do have the matching envelopes, okay? I know it's a long, detailed explanation, but what that led into was me watching yet another video with Tim Holtz and Heidi, who owns Simon Says Stamp, and he showed where he gave a quick sneak peek of some of the things that he had done with the tags, and I noticed that one of them looked like it had a bit of a pocket on it. So I said, why don't I try making a multi-pocket tag journal? So in celebration of Creep on June, I began the month with something creepy, and I figured I would end the month with something creepy using a couple of Tracie Fox's kits. One would be Creep on Creep, which I'm not sure if it's still available. It was last year's Creep on June kit. And of course, I used some leftovers from the Gothic in the Belfry kit. This is from Creep on Creep. And I began to play with the manila tags making envelopes that I stuffed with some ephemera, okay, and also glued down some ephemera. And I said, wow, that would be a cute thing to make on video for YouTube. And so that is what we are going to do today. These are all tags. This is one that I believe I did a video on it last year, doing some inking and some stamping, making Halloween tags. And I figured that I would show you guys how I made this multi-pocket, whoops, my little ring is stuck, this multi-pocket tag, and you could begin to create a little tag journal of your own. See, you can still stuff stuff in the pockets. Some of it's permanently in the pockets, like these. This comes out, and this one's glued down. This one comes out. So I figured I would show you how I did this. Now, just to let you know, I did use one of my dies. It's an old Sizzix die that I've had for ages to make the base of the pocket. But I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how to make these little pockets of your own, just using little strips of paper if you don't do die cutting or if you don't have the die. If you want to go over and purchase the die, I'm pretty sure it's still available. I have to research that part. It's two pieces. It's the pocket and the little tag that go with it. So even if you're not an experienced die cutter, you could handle this. Okay, so let me go away, let me get all set up, and I will come back and we will make one of these tags. Okay, I'll see you in a few. Well, hello everyone, I am back, and I have prepared my little space here. I've gotten out my sticky mat, which, if you can tell, is very sticky, because I'm going to show you how I stenciled these tags. Now I'm going to flip it over to the back so that you can see the back of one, okay? And I used a Tim Holtz stencil. I usually grab out my bunch when I know I want to do some stenciling and I need a wide variety of choices. So the one I pulled out is, let me see if I can tilt this, THS038, and it's a simple brick pattern. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to lay my stencil down over my tag and hopefully get it straight. This might be my last day recording with this stupid tripod. I have ordered yet another recording arm that will hopefully work for me, and I won't have to worry about bumping into this tremendous tripod here. Okay, I am using, let me just take the cover off because it's stuck to the sticky mat. Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated Ink in Fawn. Okay, I bought all these colors and I said, you know what? I'm going to use them. I did, in fact, make myself a little color chart, which I can't reach right now, of all the colors so I know what they look like. All right, let's begin. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to stencil around the entire tag, okay, and make sure that I get a nice impression, okay. And you can see that on the back of that one, I left the center a little bit empty because I figured if you want to actually use this tag book as a journal, and you want to write things down, I mean, perhaps you're going to integrate this into your Halloween decor. I do have a couple of ideas that I've been tossing around. Since I like to do Christmas in July, I've been tossing around a few ideas in my head of how we can integrate these tags and use them, and maybe I'll show you how to make a Christmas card with them. I do have plenty of stencils. Okay, so we have inked the front. Now I'm just going to peel this up. It is very sticky. I got my sticky mat off of Amazon because I really couldn't afford at the time some of the other ones that the big dealers sell. I do want to get the waffle flower grip mat to use in my Misty, which is my stamping platform. So yeah, I will probably buy that one to use in that case. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the back of the tag basically in the same way. But again, I'm only going to ink on the outsides of the tag and leave the middle, you know, mostly empty. Maybe just do it a little bit lightly to give the same impression. But I'm going to leave it lighter because, like I said, in case you want to actually journal on this, you don't want that dark of an impression all around on the tag. Okay, so now we have the back completed. Okay, and you can see it's just a little bit, you have a little bit of area where you could actually journal on the card and still make it still utilize it. Okay, and the front is just a little bit darker. Okay, and I am going to go and I'm going to put all this stuff away and I will be right back with you. All right, we are back. Now, before I stick on my pocket, okay, you can see this is a die cut. It does come from Sizzix. It is a Thinlits die. It's number 662697. And all it cuts out is this little pocket. And it also cuts out, whoop, let me grab a hold of it. Can't grab it. Let me get my little sticky tool. Can't even get it with that. Okay. And it cuts out this little label, which goes right down here on the front. Okay. So it's a handy little die to have. I've had mine for years, but it is extremely useful. Okay, I will look and see if I can find this one online. More than likely, you'll be able to get it probably at Simon Says Stamp. She carries a lot of the Tim Holtz and Sizzix items. So yeah, I will look for that for you. Okay, let's put this to the side for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to stick down our pocket. But before we do that, I have a piece of ephemera that I want to add to the top. You can probably see it if I pull this one out and this one out. I have glued one onto the top here, and I believe, yes, on this tag, I glued one to the top up here, and I also added one on the bottom down here. So because it's going to be in the way of the pocket, we're going to add this piece on first. And it is decorated on both sides. I looked up just to make sure that I was giving you the proper information. I am using three of Tracie's kits. The Gothic and the Belfry, the Keep Creepin', and the Creepy Creep. Okay, so I will link all three of those kits in the description box below the video, so you can go over and take a look. When I went on and verified exactly what the names are, I see that Tracie is having a sale. So if you want the kits to get ready for Halloween decorating, I would go over and check them out and pick them up now. Okay, so let me just grab, I have both my glue press and my little bottle of glue ready for this, because this glue bottle that I have in the glue press doesn't have an extremely fine tip. The other little bottle has that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick this on right up here like so and leave it hanging over the edge just a bit. Okay, and we'll glue that down. Let me pick it up and make sure that the glue is not seeping out the side. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to stick down our pocket. And all we're going to do is we're just going to glue around the edges here because we want to leave these little areas open. Now, as promised, I do have one prepared already stenciled and such, so that I can show you how to do this on your own. Excuse me. All right, so I'm just going to put a fine bead of glue along the side here, down the bottom, and along the side here. Yeah, I will show you how I designed one so that you can, number one, make your own tag, and number two, make your own pocket. Now, you know that I have a bit of difficulty working around the tripod, so I usually have to turn things on their side. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue the pocket down, okay, a little bit up from the bottom of the tag, and lay it down flat, and make sure that it's straight, which it is. Let me just push this down and hold it for a second. Oh, well, all of a sudden I have an itchy nose. I think that it's allergy season here in Florida. It's a little bit screwy. I'm used to being sneezy and stuff in April instead. Okay, and now what we'll do, if I can grab a hold of it, is we will begin decorating our pocket, okay? And I'm going to start from the top down. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push my little piece in here up under one of these little, what do you call it? Crossbars, like so, if I can actually get it in there. And I'm going to see whereabouts I want the piece to be, okay? And I think that's far enough in. So now I know I want to put a bead of glue along here because I want this piece to be a permanent part of the pocket. Now, gluing these pieces in is not going to interfere at all with your being able to use this as a pocket. There we go. All right, I'm just going to push it down under all of those little crossbars, like so, and I'm going to push down, okay? So now this piece is permanently attached to the inside of your pocket, but your top and your bottoms, your little crossbars here, are still usable. Now, I do have another piece. This, I believe, is from the Keep Creepin' kit. I have a habit of keeping all of my die cuts and sticking them all in one space, in one, like, big folder. And then I kind of go, oh, yeah, that's what that kit's from. Yeah. All right, so now we want to push that one in just about to there. And so I know I'm going to put a little bead of glue right across here, okay, like so. And if it's not exact, it doesn't matter. You get the basic idea. You're just going to stick it in up to that glue point, okay? We want to slide it in under all of those crossbars. Maybe give this one a little bit of a lift, like so. And we're going to push it down, and I'm going to wipe off that excess glue, okay? I have this guy here, okay? He is definitely from the Keep Creepin' kit, okay? That was a kit I believe we used it last year. Maybe at Halloween. I don't exactly remember. All right, so now I'm going to bend this a little so I can slide this guy in under here, like so, okay? And I want to pull him up a little because I'm going to stick this lady in. Ooh, I forgot to ink. Let me just grab my black ink. I forgot to ink her up. What I had done with some of these pieces is I had printed them on sticker paper, and I'll show you one of those. I had printed them on sticker paper, and I was making like the tin types. Angie Garcia had done a video using this kit and making faux tin types with oh, what did she use? I don't know, but Tracie had done the same thing, and she used metal tape. So I want her to go right about there. So I think he's good where he is, okay? So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue just under his hand, okay? Like so. And I'm going to slide him in up under here. Once you start working with the pocket, let me just grab this. It'll start to bend for you. Okay, and now that I know that the glue around the edges is mostly dry, I can feel like I can play with it a little bit better. Okay, so we're going to slide him in. Oh my goodness, I don't know what it is with my nose today. And I'm just going to wipe this excess glue off. Now, you could glue all of these pieces together, like glue him to this one and glue this one to this one, if you weren't concerned about actually using your pocket as a pocket, if you just wanted to use it more as a decoration. That's up to you. All right, and then I'm going to slide her in, and I think she's good to right about there. So I am just going to put a thin bead of glue across here on her, okay? And we're kind of angling these so we can see all of the photos. See how it starts to get a little bit easier to get things in the pockets once you start to play around with it. And we're just going to push her down into there, like so. And we're going to wipe off that excess glue, okay? And then I have this, which is from Creepy Creep. This kid had a lot of images of dolls and children and such, and it was a little bit spooky. Now, this one I kind of want to glue on the outside. So before I do that, what I'm going to do is I am just going to put the cap on my glue. Okay, there we go. Don't want that to get all sticky. I'm going to grab a piece of this Tim Holtz mummy cloth. Okay. And I'm just going to find the end of it. And I'm going to measure out a piece. Like so. Okay. And I'm just going to grab my scissors. And I'm going to cut a little piece off. I kind of like it hanging over the edge. So I'm just going to, I'll snip it right there. Okay. You could use cheesecloth. I know Crafty by Tony went on to, I believe it was Amazon, and bought a huge amount of cheesecloth that she's using. I don't color mine. You can if you want to. I kind of like it white because, you know, gauze is white. But I guess if you wanted it antiqued a little bit, you might want to color it up a little. And so I'm just going to run a fine bead of glue along the bottom here. Okay. There is a raised edge on the pocket. I don't know if you'll be able to see it if I show you. Let's see if I can just pick this up. There's a little bit of a raised edge here, so I'm just gluing within that area there. And I'm going to put my mummy cloth down like so. And I'm just going to push it down into the glue. All right, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to move this over for just a second. We're going to let everything dry. And I am just, again, going to put the cap on my glue. I recently placed an order with Simon Says Stamp, and it was for my All and Create stamps. I do enjoy using them. Okay, come on, get in there. And I also, because I was watching Amy over at Prairie Paper and Ink, they have a new glue out. I will be trying this out. I haven't used it yet. I got it a couple of days ago, but I haven't had a chance to use it. So I'm going to see how good their glue is too. I know they did have another kind of glue. I think it was Craft Tacky glue that a couple of people had used. So what we're going to do is we are basically just going to put a little stamp on here. I'm trying to grab everything, you know, just to decorate it up a little. I have a little star stamp. You've seen me use this before. I've had it for a while. It was, I don't even remember where I got it. I got some kit of an assortment of stamps, I think, off of Amazon. So yeah, we're just going to take a little bit and we're going to stamp these little stars down the middle of this to kind of decorate it up a little. Okay, so we have that. And then what would a crafting session with me be if we didn't grab out some vintage photo. And I'm going to add some of these little splotches. Now, I know you guys have seen me use these. These are old stamps. Again, I think they might have been a Globeland stamp off of Amazon. And I'm just going to kind of muck this up a little. Make it look a little dirty. Okay. And then maybe we'll grab our little coffee ring. I think it's time for a new vintage photo. I know I have a couple in reserve in my storage containers because that pad looks like it's getting a little beat up, but there's still plenty of ink in there. All right, let's close that up and move that out of the way and grab my paper towel because I got ink on my mat. I'm just gonna wipe that up. Okay, so now what we'll do is we will add our little label here right onto the tag, just above the cheesecloth and within that little raised section here. We'll put this little thing down. Okay, let me grab my glue. Whoa, hello. Okay, well, let's grab that up and get it before it sticks to the mat. And there we go. Okay, we have that. Okay, whoop. All right. Let's try this again. Okay. Let's just try again and add some glue. All righty. And then we will just stick this down, like I was saying, on top of our little mummy cloth here. And we'll push down and we'll have a chat while we wait for this to dry. So how has everybody been doing? It's been warm here. We're actually expecting tropical storms this weekend. Perfect for 4th of July. All right. I think it's stuck. Okay. So now we have our little label on the bottom. And now we'll just add this on. I want it to hang over this, and that's why I didn't want to put it down first. But I think I'm going to add a little glue here to the outside, a little glue across the bottom, and a little glue across that little crossbar there. Because we want our pocket to still be usable, so we don't want to glue our pocket shut. And there we go. Okay, I'm just going to put that there for now. And we're going to glue our little number 6 down on here, like so. Okay, I'll push that down. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe how itchy my nose is. And let me just grab, I have some of the ephemera put aside here in this little folder. And let's see, we'll grab out, this is from the Creepy Creep. This is one of the photos of these dolls. I did do a few videos on this, and maybe if I can remember to, I will link them. So now, just to show you, your pocket is still usable. You can tuck her in up there. We have this one, Cemetery Gates. We can tuck this one in back here. Okay. And we have, what is this? A little creepy looking bar. And we'll tuck that one in back there. So see, you can still use the pocket and you can just keep stuffing it with as much stuff as you want. And let's see, I think we can actually, here's another little creepy photo of a, I believe it's a library that may have been destroyed in the war. And we can slide that one in back there. So there you go. That's how we create our stuffed pocket tag. Now let me show you, because as I always say, I don't like to make things with the supplies that I have, expecting that everyone has the same exact supplies. So because I know some of you are not going to run out and buy Manila Tags off of Amazon or Staples or whatever your little office supply store is, I have prepared one that you can make yourself, okay? This is just a tag that I cut using my paper trimmer and cut the little corners out. And I have also created some little pieces that can be used in exactly the same way to create a pocket similar to the one that I used in my die cut. Now, I did cut, let me just, I want you to know, the tag is 3 1/8 inches wide and it's 6 1/4 inches tall, which is exactly the same size as these tags. You can see back here, maybe off just a little. And I cut little small corners off to make it sort of that square type. And you can just cut, and then you take this piece and you flip it over so you get the exact corner. You take the piece you cut off here, flip it over, put it up against this side, and trim up against it, and you'll have identical corners. Okay? So my pockets are, I made one that is 3 inches wide by 1 1/2 inches tall. That will be our base pocket. And then I have taken and I have made 3 strips for the little crossbars that we were using there. And these are 3 inches wide by 1/2 inch high. So we will glue these down, okay, in just the same way as we would have if we were using the pocket. This being the bottom piece, we're going to glue along both sides, and then we're going to go across the bottom, okay, like so. Oh, sorry about that. I had an itch on my nose. And then we're just going to glue this down. Now you see that I did ink this one in exactly the same way. So we're going to glue this little base pocket down here. Okay, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to just judge it. I'm not going to pull out my ruler. On these, we're just going to put a little glue along each side. We don't want to glue the bottom because we want it to be an accessible pocket. And I'm going to glue it excuse me, right about there. Okay, whoop, come on. So you can see, you can judge what space amount you want to be between your little strips here. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Going to glue just along the sides. Okay. And I feel like I might sneeze again. Okay, so we're just going to lay that one down there. And again, I'm going to just eyeball it and say, okay, that's about the distance. But I do want to make sure it's straight. Okay. And then finally the last one. Okay, again, we'll glue on each side like so. I'm going to turn this and I'm going to say that's about even. Whoop. Like that. And make sure it's straight. And there you go. You have your own little pocket. Okay. Now I inked this one in black because I did use craft stock, which is a paper that I am going to say I'm sure most people have or have access to. I'm just trying to close the bottle there. And let's just grab, I have these 2 pieces of ephemera laying here. And we can tuck him in there like so. I don't want to go too close to the edge. And then we can tuck this one up behind it like so. These are overly large, but you can tilt it. And there you go. You have a homemade tag with a homemade slotted pocket. Okay, guys, I really hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, I have some ideas for Christmas in July. which I will be getting to with you probably over the next few days. And here's the stuff pocket that we made using the die. And here's the one we created ourselves. And of course, you can make the little label. I have these, the only ones I have left, I think, are in craft stock, but I can show you. You can create a label, or you could even use a Tim Holtz label. But here's the same label that I used on the other ones in craft stock. And you could just glue it down there like so. Okay, I don't want to glue mine because I want to decorate it first. But that's what it would look like. So yeah, I do have, like I said, I do have some ideas for Christmas in July. I have a couple of Tracie's Christmas kits that maybe we'll use to make some tags. And then I have some things we can do with stamps and stencils as well. Okay, guys? I'm going to send you lots of love, big hugs. Ask you please to remember to like, subscribe, and comment. And if you'd like to share my video, you can do that too. There is a little share button. I do have a KoFi. You could buy me a coffee. And you can also become a member of my channel, which as I've been reading into it further and further, I have found that I can post my videos for members only to view first and then set them to come out a couple of days later. So yeah, it's 99 cents a month. So if you're interested, it's just something that YouTube offers up. But yeah, I have an Instagram, I have an Etsy, and I have a Facebook. Okay, guys? I'll see you soon. Love, hugs, like, subscribe, comment. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now. I'm back again. Tracie has a new kit called The Exhibit. I will be doing a video on that new kit later on this week. I will link it in the description box below as well. So if you're interested in seeing what I make and how I make it, you can go over and purchase the kit beforehand, and then we can play together. Okay? Bye.